Okay, beautiful. So today, Hannah, we are going to focus on our facial massage and just working to lift, sculpt, and drain. We might incorporate just a little bit of gua sha in there as well. And hopefully, this will just be deeply relaxing and allow you to drift off and let your mind wander. Not have to focus on anything but being on the bed and feeling that release. Okay, gorgeous. So we're going to start quickly just by cleansing. I'm going to use a really light gel cleanser just to make sure we remove everything from the day. And just starting by sweeping along the jawline, either side of the lips, big circles over the cheeks, and then up to the forehead, working around both sides of the nose, and then sweeping all the way down and making sure I don't forget the neck. It makes such a nice bubbly sound as well. I find it so interesting when you tune in and hear all the little sounds you normally just not notice. And circling around the eyes and just holding on the temples. And I'm going to take our first set of mitts to remove. And just hovering over the face. And then lifting up from the neck. And working in between top lip and the nose. And then gliding down the bridge of the nose and coming back up to temples. Circling either side. And draining out. Again, holding on temples before releasing. Okay, beautiful. Starting on the chest and just spreading our oil. And using the shoulders to rotate. And scooping round the back. All the way back to the occiput. And holding that. And I'm going to bring the oil up and onto the face. So lifting from the neck all the way up to the forehead. And using both hands to work in symmetry. And then returning to the chest. And working with one hand and then the other. And fanning out towards the shoulders. And just finding the natural rhythm here. And bringing in up my knuckles, so working just slightly deeper pressure. And pectoral muscles that sit at the top of our chest can often feel quite tight. Nice area to work in. Release any built up tension. Especially if we work at a desk, it can be really common. And then working just with one hand, forming a gentle wave all the way across, and then repeating that on the other side. I'm going to do that 1, 2, 3, and 4. And bringing both hands up and scooping underneath. We'll start by circling either side of the ears. And then using split fingers either side. And just pumping up towards myself. And then applying pressure through that center part. And then releasing, coming back to the center of the chest. And back to our waves, turning on the shoulders and into the center. Making one side and then the other. And then using my knuckles to work slightly deeper. Still keeping that pressure nice and gentle. And trying to relax into the treatment. It can be really nice to send our attention around our bodies, and allowing each of these areas to switch off in turn. And we're not looking to provide any judgment. We're just looking to bring our attention and our awareness to these areas. And starting at our toes, we can focus on our big toe and then the space in between all of our toes. And then we're going to move up to our ankles. And our calves. And just bring that awareness to these muscles, all the bones. And with this gentle body scan, just allowing us to find that rest that we need before sleep. Moving our focus up to our knees and then to our thighs. And then bringing our awareness to our hips. Are you carrying any tension here? And then all the way up our spine into our necks, and then sending our attention to our fingertips. To the palms of our hands, and to our wrists. And then thinking about our sternums and the center of our chest, and our shoulders. Thinking about the space behind our ears, and whether we're holding or clenching our jaw. And thinking about our eyebrows and all the hair follicles on our head. Beautiful. And now we finish warming up the chest and the neck area. And we're ready to start on our facial massage. I'm going to take a little bit of extra oil. Just so that we can glide and that our gua sha won't drag the skin when we start to use that later. And starting by working on the neck. And just creating a stretch between the collarbone and behind the ears. One finger walks and the rest follow as I pull back. And we're going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then that same move is going to lift up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to take that same move, we're going to move in towards the chin and then back out towards the ears. And we're just really looking for that lift in the cheeks and that release along the jawline of any muscles that are affected when we're clenching our jaw, when we're sleeping, or when we're concentrating during the day. And I'm going to do this gentle walking 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to start with some really big circles over the masseter muscle. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then using both at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Working out along the jaw. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. and then sandwiching the jaw in between my thumb and the rest of my fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Rotating and coming out to stretch towards the ears. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And stretching out along Rosorius. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then up over the zygomatic arch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And scooping round. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then lifting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Working out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And scooping round again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to hook underneath the cheekbone and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And circling around the eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then lifting up from the third eye, I'm going to stretch all of frontalis back into the hairline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then working back in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then back out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stretching out across the brows using both thumbs. And we're working out. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm taking my whole hand and go from wrist to fingertips and then replace. And we're going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Beautiful. And finish with some gliding strokes. And landing back on the chest to turn. I'm going to gently lift and lower. And come to land on this side. Beautiful. Now working from this side, I'm going to lift up onto the face from the shoulder. I'm going to do that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then working up from the jawline to just below the lower lips. I'm going to fan. I'm going to do that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm working out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And scooping underneath the cheekbone. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And coming to the side of the bed, I'm going to stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can stretch over the forehead. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we can apply a little bit more oil. And starting from the center of the chest and lifting up the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And bringing in Akawasha, working from behind the ear and draining all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then out along the jaw, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Adding in that final drain and then lifting up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And scooping again underneath the cheekbone and lifting up. 1, 3, 4, and 5. And using the small curve working under the eye. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. And draining down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Working up over frontalis. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then draining down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And placing my gouache on the other side and using both hands to stretch up the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And coming back into center, lift and lower. And then just take a few moments to open up the chest again, and helping everything to drain. And back rotating on the shoulders and out through center. And then gently turning over to the other side. And just taking a little bit more oil on this side. And again, working up the face. Working from the shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then lifting up along the jawline. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then out from the corner of the lips, out towards the ear. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And scooping up under the cheekbone. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And going to stretch. I'm going to stretch 1 and 2, 3, And stretching again over the forehead. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, lifting up, we're going to take our gua sha and we're going to drain from behind the ear all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And working out along the jawline. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draining down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then lifting up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And draining down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to scoop up and under the cheekbone and holding for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And draining down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm working under the eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lifting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm working outwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And draining down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And using one hand to work out across the chest. Doing lovely circles, rotating on the shoulder. And then following one hand and then the other, stretching up the neck. One, two, three, four, and five. And then coming back into center and lifting with both hands and gently landing back on the bed. And then lifting together, stretching the neck and pulling back into the hairline. And rotating on the shoulders, pushing out, and then that gentle lift all the way back into the hairline. And working from the chin, lifting all the way up to the top of the forehead. You can do that once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then one last time. And we'll do some circles over the temples. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then bringing those same circles but alternating over the third eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then working out over the forehead. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then changing direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to collect my crystal mushrooms and place them either side. And take a tiny bit more oil. And again, just spreading that all over the face. I'm going to use these crystal mushrooms to drain. And they're nice and cold. Perfect. We're going to start on the jaw. And we're going to circle 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And working out along the jawline. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And working out 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then over the temples. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And circling up over the third eye and just alternating. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then working out across the brows. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And coming back down to the jawline, lifting up this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, gliding down the neck and onto the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, alternating the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, working out over the shoulders. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And back into center to finish, and then gently lifting off. And finishing or draining all the way from the neck up to the forehead, opening at the forehead and draining down onto the chest. I'm going to start again from the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, holding behind the ears and circling. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And taking a warm set of mitts. I'm going to remove our oil and just hovering them over the face and landing on the chest. I'm going to take one side and then the other, working up the neck, out across the shoulders, lifting up onto the face, around the jaw, in between the top lip and the nose, across the cheeks, up the bridge of the nose, and out across the forehead. Again, holding on the temples before releasing. And apply some eye cream. And just gently dotting that on. And then circling with one finger. And do that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to finish with some night cream. Starting again at the temples and gliding all the way down, working up the jawline, between the lip and the nose, over the cheeks, and up the nose. And taking any excess out and across the chest. And pulling all the way to behind the ears. And then to finish, I'm just going to work a tiny bit more into the scalp. And taking both hands, crossing my thumbs and gently shampooing, applying a downward pressure and working that circular motion. And that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then working down the scalp. 1, 2, 3,